when a person is sick, where do they go?
Doctor.
They go to see the doctor. Why do they go and see the doctor?
Get well.
To get well, but what's motivating them? What's driving them? Because they know they are
Suffering.
Yeah, they know they're sick, and so they go to see the doctor. But when a person is really, really sick and they can't get out of their house, what does the doctor do?
To them.
Well, ambulance comes or the doctor makes a house call. The doctor makes a house visit. So we know that we're sick. We know that we're missing Krishna. We know that we want to go back to Krishna. We know that we have material desires, and we know that we need to do some work on our relationship with Krishna. So we know we need to go and see the doctor. So therefore we visit the temple, we visit the Namahata, we visit the Sangha, because we know that we need something with our spiritual life. But for those people who don't know that they're sick, the doctor makes a house call. That's Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is when the doctor comes out of the hospital and he comes and sees the people, because they don't know that they're sick. And so he comes to give them his mercy. He comes to give them his blessings. And Lord Jagannath, one of his many, many wonderful features is that he appears in this form where he has first of all, he never ever blinks. And he has manifested this form so that his eyes are in such a way that he sees absolutely everybody and does not miss anyone. Krishna, in his original form of Shyamasundar, you see sometimes he's been up all night dancing with the gopis, and so he has these dreamy, sleepy eyes, and his eyelids are half covering his eyes, has like lotus eyes. But Lord Jagannath in that form, big wide eyes, never blinks, big round eyes. Krishna manifests that form so that he does not miss anyone. Like if they're up on the balcony, he sees them. If they're down on the floor, he sees them. If they're off to the side, he sees them. Or if they're off to that side, he sees them. So Lord Jagannath, he appears in a way that he doesn't miss anyone. He sees absolutely everyone. So it's very, very, very merciful. Rath Yatra is the doctor coming out and making this universal house call so that everybody gets well, or at least gets a little bit of treatment. And the ultimate treatment is Harinam Sankirtan. So Rath Yatra is all about giving darshan and giving the holy name to everyone. It's such a merciful, such a wonderful, wonderful festival. So Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapatam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasandubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschachadesha Tarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a verse from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's a number of biographies of Lord Chaitanya, and the most famous and the one which is actually considered to be the most important one is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Srila Prabhupada translated and did this wonderful, amazing commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But there are other biographies of Lord Chaitanya, authorized biographies, and one of them is the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat gives a lot more information about Lord Nityananda than the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a lot about the pastimes of Lord Nityananda in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And there's also more pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in his Navadvip, Mayapur pastimes. Whereas the Chaitanya Charitamrita kind of summarizes his Mayapur pastimes in the first part, the Adi Leela, and then the Madhya and Antya Leela is all about Lord Chaitanya's travels around India and then his pastimes in Jagannath Puri as a sannyasi. So between the Chaitanya Bhagavat and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you get this really, really wonderful, comprehensive vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And one of the verses in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Pritiviti Ache Yata Nagaradi Gram Savatra Pachara Hoibimoranam. In every town and village throughout the world, the chanting of my holy name will be heard. So when I first, when my sort of journey in Krishna consciousness began, that was in 1994, so whatever that is, 32 years ago. We were still sort of in that place in the Hare Krishna movement. We were talking about it a little before, where joining the Hare Krishna movement was very much about moving into a temple. We were kind of phasing out of that point by that time. The 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, the history of the Krishna consciousness movement, especially in the Western world, up until that point had been all about people just dedicating their lives completely, moving into temples, becoming monks, shaving their heads, dedicating their lives completely and utterly to spreading Krishna consciousness, distributing books, distributing prasadam, going out on Harinam, building and establishing temples and preaching centers all around the world. And it's wonderful and it was glorious. So it's not a criticism. But by the 1990s, we were kind of slowly edging out of that and moving more towards a more sort of balanced, long-term picture of what the Krishna consciousness movement will be, which is kind of in relation with this verse, that in every town and village all around the world. Now, funnily enough, when I joined, we had we had a program. I was up at I'm not from Scotland, but I was up at the temple that we have up there in Scotland. And we had like a program called ETV. ETV means every town and village. So like you hear in this verse, in every town and village all around the world, my name will be heard. So we had this ETV program where we lived in a motorhome. There were 4 of us that lived in a motorhome. And we had a map of Scotland. And we were systematically working our way through every single town and village. We would stop in our village, and 2 of us would go on the left-hand side of the village, and 2 of us would go on the right-hand side of the village. And we'd systematically wind our way around every single house in the entire village, knock on every single door. If someone was in, we would try and get them to take a book, give a donation, say Gauranga, chant the name of Lord Chaitanya, donate some food. And if they weren't in, because that was in 1996, and 1996 was the centennial of Srila Prabhupada. It was Srila Prabhupada's 100th birthday. Although Prabhupada passed away in 1977, we were celebrating 100 years since Srila Prabhupada's birth. And we had this little booklet, it was like a little pamphlet. They were called the Prabhupada pamphlets. And it was like a sort of a very short summary of the life and teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And if the person wasn't in, we would put one of those through the door. And that way, every single house in the whole village was kind of touched in some way by Krishna consciousness. And it was an amazing, glorious program. But for a long time now, one of the kind of byproducts of being a full-time devotee, and I think we're now not quite suffering from that in exactly the same way that we were, but sometimes full-time, really full-on monks who live in temples and dedicate their whole lives to telling the whole world about Krishna, is they can become a little bit fanatic. little tiny bit fanatic. So we weren't a little tiny bit fanatic. we were really full-on fanatics. And we had this vision, this idea in our mind that every town and village all around the world means everyone's going to become a monk. And they're going to give us their houses, and we're going to take over the village, we're going to take over the town, we're going to build a temple in the middle of the town. Everyone's going to shave their head. This is the future of the Krishna consciousness movement, is everyone's going to wear orange robes, have a shaved head, and you know, that's what it means, every town and village. Which isn't the case. It's not the case. And there's a beautiful song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur called Dalalera Gita. Dalalera Gita. The refrain for that song is Koda Nitai, Koda Nitai. And Koda Nitai is the name of the deity of Lord Nityananda up in Scotland. Koda Nitai literally means the proprietor or the boss. Koda means like the boss. So what is Nitai, Lord Nityananda? So when Lord Chaitanya came to this earth 500 years ago, he didn't come alone. He came with the members of the Panchatattva. So you see the picture there on the left-hand side, these 5 features of God. So these are 5 forms of God who appeared simultaneously 500 years ago. In the center is Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. On, let's see, our right, so Lord Chaitanya's left, is Nityananda. Nityananda is Balaram. He's the first expansion of Krishna. In Krishna's pastimes, he appears as Krishna's brother. So that's Nitai, Nityananda. And then to Nityananda's left, is that right? His left or his right?
Right.
His right. To his right is Advaita, like with the beard. That's Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya is, he's the combination of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. He's like a combined form of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. And then on the other side, Gadadhar is Radharani. He's a particular manifestation of Srimati Radharani. And then on our right, on our right, as we're looking at the picture, so our right, which is Lord Chaitanya's far left, that is Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur is Narada Muni. He's Narada. Now, Lord Nityananda, one of his names is Koda Nitai, because he's the boss, he's the proprietor. So what is he the boss of, the proprietor of? He's the proprietor of the Namahata. And the Namahata is the marketplace of the holy name. So Lord Chaitanya, he has given this role to Lord Nityananda to establish a marketplace of the holy name. And from that marketplace to distribute the goods, to distribute the product. So just like you have like a central headquarters of a big business. So for example, in let's say in San Jose in California, we have the world headquarters of Apple. And from that place, that is like the central location from which Apple's business, Apple's products, they're sort of going out all over the world. That's like the central hub from which everything's sort of moving out from that point. So in Mayapur, which is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, Mayapur is also known as Navadweep. Navadweep means Nava means 9, and Dweep is islands. So the place of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, Navadweep, is divided up into 9 sort of locations, 9 regions. There used to be 9 literal islands. Now, when you go now, they're not all islands. They're quite often you're walking along and someone says, "Oh, now we're in Antadweep." It's like, "Oh, when did that happen?" But once upon a time, they were divided into islands. But some of them you still cross over water to get to them. And one of those places is that if you're at our Iskcon World headquarters in Mayapur, then you cross over the river Jalangi. There's actually 2 rivers in Mayapur. There's the Ganges and there's the Jalangi. And they meet at a certain point, and it's quite amazing. If you go over on boat, then you can see like unmistakably this stark dividing line in the water where on this side is the Ganges, and the Ganges has like a golden colour, and on this side is the Jalangi, and the Jalangi has like a blackish colour. And it's just woof, a line that goes straight across. If I get a chance, I'll try and see if I can find a video that I made. We went over in a boat, and you're going over, and it's like Ganges, Jamuna. You know, so clear. And so when you cross over the Jalangi River, you go to a place called Gadruma Dweep. And in Gadruma Dweep, there's 3 places, actually, more. There's so many places. But there's 3 places of note. So one is a deity called Hare, which is a combined form of Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva. So just like Advaita Acharya is a combined form of Vishnu and Shiva, Hare, he's half black, half white. He's Shiva and Vishnu. He's a very unique deity. And then there is the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the father of Srila Prabhupada's guru. So Srila Prabhupada is the founder guru, the founder acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Many of his books are over there, you can read. And his guru is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Srila Prabhupada's guru was the one who told him, you go to the West and you travel around the world and you teach people all around the world about Krishna. And then Bhaktisiddhanta's father is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's sometimes known as the grandfather of the Hare Krishna movement, because he was the person who really got the ball rolling with sharing the message of Krishna consciousness with the whole world. Prior to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Krishna consciousness was really limited to being in India. And actually, before Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it was very kind of low-key. It wasn't really like a preaching mission, a missionary movement. It was very low-key. It wasn't like people were going out and trying to spread the good word of Lord Chaitanya. It was people were just quietly practicing the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, but in their own quiet little way. There were a few very, very notable, great gurus who appeared over time who made immense contributions to the mission of Lord Chaitanya. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was the one who really started the worldwide missionary movement of Lord Chaitanya. And his house is there. It's a wonderful place. You go there, you see his bed, his desk, his books. You walk in there and you feel this incredible presence. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And just down the road, so there's a song that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. He actually wrote a lot of songs, many, many songs. And he wrote a number of songs particularly about Lord Nityananda. And one of these songs is Dalalera Gita. And I won't read the Bengali, I'll just read the English translation. I am singing news of great happy tidings. Lord Nityananda himself has opened a marketplace of the holy name in Surabhi Kunj. So when you come out of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house and you turn left and you walk down the road, about maybe a mile down the road, probably not even that, maybe half a mile, on the right hand side, on the opposite side of the road, there's a place called Surabhi Kunj. And Surabhi Kunj is the place that Bhaktivinoda is describing in this song. So, Lord Nityananda himself has opened a marketplace of the holy name in Surabhi Kunj. The news of its great results is that he is selling the pure holy name in that marketplace for the price of only one's faith. Lord Nityananda, the proprietor of the market, seeing all the devotees becoming attracted, is selling them the holy name after bargaining with them. Oh brother, if you want to buy the holy name, then go with me. We must go to the presence of that great soul, Nityananda. You will buy the name of Krishna, I will take my commission, and all of our desires will be fulfilled. Lord Nityananda is greatly merciful. Taking only one's faith, he gives the highest ecstasy. If Nitai sees only once tears in the eyes while chanting the name Gaura, then he gives all resources to that person. He gives the pure teachings of Krishna to everyone and does not care for one's birth, wealth, knowledge and strength. Now, giving up the illusory snare of Maya, either remain in household life or in the forest as a sannyasi, for no more troubles remain. There is no more fear of the age of Kali. The merciful Nityananda gives the holy name to even the Chandalas. Bhaktivinoda calls out, except for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no other shelter. So there's a lot to unpack in this song. And anyway, we'll see where we end up. We've got about 30 or 40 minutes. But so Lord Chaitanya, he went to Jagannath Puri. He took sannyas, he left Mayapur, and he went to live in Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, he manifested incredible pastimes, and revealed so many amazing teachings. But he sent Lord Nityananda back to Bengal. And he said, you go back to Bengal and establish the preaching mission, the missionary mission, the mission of sharing Krishna consciousness with the whole world. And Lord Nityananda, he established his base of operations at Surabhi Kunj. So Surabhi Kunj, he that was his base, and from that base, he would travel all over Bengal, sharing the holy name, giving the holy name, and sharing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, with the people of Bengal. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a book called Gudruma Kalpatavi. And in that book, he kind of takes this song and he really expands on it. And he gives a lot of amazing information about it. So, two things that I thought would be nice to share. So one is this principle that, like he says, either be a householder or be a sannyasi. Either stay at home with your family or become a renunciate. It doesn't matter. Just do whatever's most suitable for you. Whatever works best for you. You know, don't let other people tell you what's best for you. You know, what is the best situation for you? Is it to shave your head, become a monk and move into a temple, become a renunciate? So according to Krishna, who established something called Varnashram, Varnashram means the way that society is kind of divided up. Actually, only a very, very, very tiny number of people are meant for that particular role. Most of us are not meant to become monks. We're not meant to become renunciates. And if we try to be something that we're not, that just causes psychological issues, just causes problems. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's very, very pragmatic, very practical. Don't pretend to be something that you're not, because it actually doesn't matter. Whether you're a family man or a family woman, you have children, you want the comforts of home, great, be that. You want to be renounced, become a monk, great, be that. But be what's most suitable for you. Be what's most suitable for you. The Krishna consciousness movement is not a movement of renunciates. It's not a movement of monks. The Krishna consciousness movement is about being who you are and adding Krishna to that. Adding Krishna to your life. So it's very, very practical, very, very pragmatic. Now, when Bhaktivinoda, he gives this kind of analogy that Lord Nityananda has set up a marketplace of the holy name. Now, Lord Chaitanya, he composed 8 prayers, eight verses, one prayer but in 8 verses, very, very famous. It's called the Shikshastika. So in the Shikshastika, Lord Chaitanya, it's like a seed, and in that seed are all of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So just 8 verses. You can chant the Shikshastika prayers in about maybe 5 minutes. You can chant all of them, probably with it both Sanskrit and English translation, 5 or 6 minutes. They're not long, you can learn them. When I did my kind of monk stint, which was for about 10 years, from 95 till about 2005, one of the things that we did was that we were kind of trained as monks, that when we wake up in the morning, everyone chants the Shikshastika prayers while they're getting ready in the morning, and it was quite comical. You can imagine you're in a building, quite a small building, with about 20 people, all waking up at slightly different times, and you're hearing these 8 verses being chanted at various different stages in various different places. So someone's in the shower on verse 4, while someone else is kind of getting dressed on verse 6, and someone else is staggering out of bed on verse 1, and it's all going on at the same time. So it was quite a comical environment, but it was something that we learned, and to this day still I try to chant them as often as I remember in the morning. But I'll share the first 2 verses because it's relevant to what we're speaking about. So in the first of the Shikshastika, Lord Chaitanya gives the effects of chanting the holy name. This is what happens when you chant Hare Krishna. Chaito darpanamajanam bhavamaha davagna niyavapanam shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivadanam pratipatam purnamrita svadanam savaknastapadam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years, extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. So 6 effects. That's what happens when you chant Hare Krishna. And then in the next verse, he explains, well, how is it that a word can do all that? It's Krishna. How is it that just saying a word can purify the heart and awaken ecstasy within the heart? How is it that just saying a word can do that? So he explains that in verse number 2. Nam namakari bahuda nija shavashaktis tatrapatan yamata smaranena kala etadrishi tavakripa bhagavan mamapi durdevam idrisham ihajani nanuragaha. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, which is what he just said. It can render all benedictions. And thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. Doesn't have to be Hare Krishna. Any name of God performs the same result. And Srila Prabhupada even said, even if you're a Muslim, chant Allah, Allah. If you're a Christian or a Jew, chant Jehovah, Jehovah. So Srila Prabhupada even indicated that any name of God is empowered with the potencies of God. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energy. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. And then in the next verse, he explains how to get attraction. And then from verse 4 onwards, he explains once you've got that taste for chanting, this is what's going to happen in the order in which it will happen. They're amazing verses, and they're really worth studying. Only 8 of them, but you can spend a day just reading about them, thinking about them, meditating on them. But this is the point, that you've invested all your potencies in your name. So once, and I can't imagine how nerve-wracking this must be, but once in Vrindavan, a devotee was giving class. And he was giving class sitting next to Srila Prabhupada, who was listening to the class. So I would be a nervous wreck if I was in that situation. The guru of the whole Hare Krishna movement all around the world, and he's sitting next to you and listening to you while you're speaking. So the devotee was speaking. And while he was speaking, the devotee said, Krishna is in his name. Which is actually true, and actually even Srila Prabhupada would say the same thing. Krishna is in his name. But on this occasion, just to make a point, Srila Prabhupada stopped the devotee. And he said, oh, Krishna is in his name? Whereabouts in his name is he? And the devotee was like, And he said, and Prabhupada said, it's not that Krishna is in his name, Krishna is his name. Krishna is his name. When you say Krishna, Krishna, then that is Krishna. Krishna is present. And Prabhupada would say Krishna is dancing on your tongue when you sing the holy names. So Krishna is his name. Now, what we learn from this song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is that Lord Nityananda, who's the first expansion of Lord Chaitanya, so Lord Chaitanya came to bring the holy name. Lord Nityananda's role is to distribute the holy name around the world. So he's established the Namahata, the marketplace of the holy name, the headquarters of the Krishna consciousness movement, and from there the holy name will be distributed to the whole world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he kind of reveals a lot of really amazing secrets about Lord Nityananda, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and how we get the holy name. So I don't know if anyone here, I wouldn't be able to put up my hand and to say, when I'm saying Hare Krishna, in my mind, all of Krishna's pastimes are appearing within my heart and mind, and I'm seeing Krishna dancing with the gopis. I don't know if anyone else is having that experience. I'm not. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains that actually, what is the price? What is the price for which we buy the holy name from Lord Nityananda? The price is something called Shraddha. And Shraddha means faith. Faith. So our faith, our belief, our conviction, that is the price with which we buy the holy name. And according to how much faith and conviction and realization we have, then Lord Nityananda, like it says in the song, let me just find the verse. Okay. Jata Bhakta Brindabasi Adhikari Deke Nama Bache Darokasi. Lord Nityananda, the proprietor of the market, seeing all the devotees becoming attracted, is selling them the holy name after bargaining with them. After bargaining. How much money do you have? How much money do you have? You tell me how much money you have, and I'll give you the holy name according to how much money you have. So what is the currency? The currency is faith. And Bhaktivinoda, he sort of explains it in a very interesting way. He says the first level of holy name that we purchase from Lord Nityananda is just Nam. Nam means the name. In other words, Lord Nityananda just gives us the sound vibration of the holy name. It's worth mentioning at this point that Lord Nityananda is Adi Guru. So just as Lord Nityananda, the original Guru, is giving the holy name, similarly when we make a commitment to following the principle of Guru at the time of Nam Diksha, then we receive the holy name at that time. So you can sort of see the correlation. So the first thing is, okay, here's the name. Here's the sound vibration of the name. Chant it. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. It's the sound of Krishna's name. That costs 1 paisa of faith. So a paisa is like 1/100th of a rupee. And I think there's 100 rupees to a pound. So it's 100th of a 100th of a pound. I don't know, that was 500 years ago. So I don't know how inflation has kind of affected the cost of the holy name. But, you know, a paisa of faith is a very tiny amount. In other words, give it a go. Basically what he's saying is, if you're willing to just have a go at chanting, I'll give you the holy name. He's so merciful. He's just given, and it said in the song, he's given the holy name even to the chandalas. You know, we don't have to be Brahmins. We don't have to be following all the regulative principles or being really, really strict. Even the chandalas are like dog eaters. You know, they're considered to be quite a low-class sort of character of person. No, you can have it as well. Anyone can have it. Anyone can have the holy name. Now, what will happen when we chant the holy name? Well, you're all here, and you keep coming back. So if you keep coming back again and again and again and again, it means you're getting some sort of experience. You may not be able to quite put your finger on what that experience is, but you're getting some sort of experience, some sort of taste, some sort of realization. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep coming back. If you came here and it was just a boring program with no taste, no excitement, no relish, you just wouldn't come back. But we do keep coming back. Why? Because we may not think we have a taste, but there must be some taste. To keep chanting and to keep practicing Krishna consciousness year after year after year, we must be getting some experience, even if we're not sure what that experience is. So that means our faith is growing because we keep coming back. So as our faith grows a little bit, now I need to see if I can actually find my actual breakdown here, because, well, hold on. No, it's not that one. Let me see. Is it that one? Here it is. Brilliant. Okay, so when our faith increases a little bit, so 1 paisa gets us the name. Let me see if we can see this. It's quite small. 1/8 of a silver coin. When we've got that much faith. I'm not quite sure. If we read the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he actually explains exactly what that correlates to in terms of what we're experiencing, what we're practicing, and so on and so on. But basically, as our faith increases to 1/8 of a silver coin, then we get something called, so then we move from Nam to Rupa Yukta Nam. Does anyone know what the name Rupa, or what the word Rupa means? Anyone know what Rupa means?
Form.
Who said form? You said form? No, someone said form. You said form. Yeah, form. So what it means is, it's the holy name, but through the holy name, Krishna reveals his form. So it means as we're chanting, we're also aware of the form of Krishna. We're aware of Krishna's form, playing his flute, or Lord Jagannath's form, or whichever form we're attracted to, the form of Lord Chaitanya. But we become aware and conscious and meditating on Krishna's form. And we may have already had experience of that. It may be fleeting at this point. Remember, in Krishna consciousness, nothing is just boom, boom. It's not that you wake up one day and it's like, right, now it's like, okay, now whenever I chant Hare Krishna, I see Krishna. Yesterday I didn't, today I do. You know, but it's like, little by little, we remember Krishna more. As we're chanting, we may remember Lord Jagannath or Krishna or Lord Chaitanya. You know, so it's the holy name and the form. And then 1/4 of a silver coin buys us Guna Yuktanam. So we've got, think about how we hear it described. There's Krishna's name, form. What comes after form? Guna?
Qualities.
Qualities. Krishna's qualities. So we chant the holy name, but we're also aware and conscious of the qualities of Krishna. He's all attractive. If you read the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami, he describes the 64 transcendental qualities of Krishna. He has a beautiful form. He's all strong. He's able to communicate to all types of devotees. If you're worried that Krishna doesn't understand you because you're talking in English, he knows all languages. That's one of his qualities. He even knows the languages of the birds and the animals. So the birds of Vrindavan, they're actually singing Krishna's glories. We hear just the parrots squeaking, but Krishna hears the parrots glorifying Krishna because he knows that language. So we become aware of Krishna's qualities, and we remember those qualities, and we meditate upon those qualities as we're chanting. We're remembering, and remembering is hearing, chanting, remembering. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu or Krishna, Smaranam. So that's how it works. We hear about Krishna, we chant about Krishna, and we remember Krishna. So when we're chanting, we remember Krishna. We remember Krishna's form, we remember Krishna's qualities. What comes after Krishna's qualities? Name, form, qualities, and pastimes. That costs you 1/2 of a silver coin. So we've gone from a paisa to 1/8 to 1/4 to 1/2 a silver coin. When you have 1/2 a silver coin's worth of faith, Lila Yuktanam. You remember the pastimes of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna and the form of Krishna and the name of Krishna. It all, the holy name, just the sound, Krishna reveals all of that in time. Reveals all of that in time. So we remember the pastimes of Krishna. Now, interestingly, right in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the most basic foundational book that we just give to everyone, we might decide to be a little bit choosy about who we give the Antya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita to, because it's pretty deep stuff in there. But we don't discriminate who we give the Bhagavad Gita to. We give the Bhagavad Gita to everyone. That's the one book that everyone should have. Even if you don't have any other book, at least have a Bhagavad Gita as it is. So in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is, right in the introduction, he hasn't even gotten to chapter 1 yet. In the introduction, Srila Prabhupada says, that is a very, very interesting topic, but to explain it briefly, one can be a devotee of Krishna in one of 5 ways. One can be a devotee in a passive state, one can be a devotee in an active state, one can be a devotee as a friend, one can be a devotee as a parent, one can be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Right in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita as he is, Srila Prabhupada's explaining rasa, relationships with Krishna, and how this is actually the ultimate goal of bhakti, is to have a personal, individual, loving relationship with Krishna as a servant or a friend or a parent or a lover of Krishna. In other words, the goal of Krishna consciousness is to go back to Goloka Vrindavan and to become a cowherd boy or a cowherd girl, or a cowherd man or a cowherd woman. You're like a parent. We can't be Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. When it says to become like a parent of Krishna, it doesn't mean to literally become Nanda or Yashoda. But all of the elder cowherd men and women of Vrindavan have a parental relationship with Krishna. They all see him like their child. And Krishna sees them like his mother and father. And he treats them like that. You know, he breaks into the home and steals all the yogurt. So right in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's explaining that. So it's not a secret. It's not a secret thing that the ultimate goal of bhakti is to actually have an eternal rasa, an eternal relationship with Krishna, with an eternal form. That's why we really need to get a taste for Krishna consciousness, because when we go back to the spiritual world, that is it. You're getting that form, and that service, and that relationship, and that's it eternally. So you've really got to like it. You've really got to have a taste for it. So what comes after name, form, qualities, and pastimes? Rasitanam. Rasitanam. Costs you 1 full gold coin. Now we're moving into gold at this point. Gold is the color of prema. Gold is the color of pure love. So when we really advance, this Bhaktivinoda's saying, you may not be there yet, but this is what's waiting. If you just keep going, this is what's waiting for you at the end. Is in the form of the holy name, Krishna will reveal his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes, and then through that form of the holy name, he will reveal to you what your eternal relationship is to him. And when you chant Hare Krishna, that is what you will be aware of, is serving Krishna in a personal, one-to-one, eternal loving relationship. And when that comes, then the next thing, which is a full gold coin, the last one was actually a full silver coin. A full gold coin is prema, pure love for Krishna. Pure love for Krishna. So it's really powerful meditation. It's a really powerful meditation. But one of the interesting things is, so in that song that we looked at, Bhaktivinoda, he's saying, Jadim nama kimbe bai, ama sange chalo mahajane kachi jai. Oh brother, if you want to buy the holy name, then go with me. We'll both go together and we'll go and see Lord Nityananda. Tumi kinbe Krishna nam, dasturi loibo ami punahabi kama. You will buy the name of Krishna and I'll take my commission. Because if I bring you along and if I say, Lord Nityananda, I brought someone else to buy the holy name, I get commission. I get commission for that. So anything that we do to sort of share Krishna consciousness with others, we automatically get commission from Lord Nityananda. And any advancement that person makes as a result of us taking that person to the marketplace of the holy name, we get the benefit for that as well. We get commission for that. So it's like pyramid sales. It's exactly what's going on. This is the original pyramid sale program. Lord Nityananda's at the top, and he's distributing, and they're distributing, and they're distributing, and they're distributing, and they're distributing, and all that mercy is just flowing down and increasing more and more and more, because the nature of transcendence is that it's always increasing more and more and more and more and more. It's always increasing. It's never diminishing. It's always increasing. Even Krishna doesn't know all of his own qualities, because he's always expanding his own qualities, and he's always learning about himself. Sometimes Krishna sees his own reflection and becomes completely mesmerized because he didn't realize he was that beautiful. And he becomes captivated by his own appearance. So it's powerful. So anything that we can do. And, this point of we're not supposed to move into a temple. But what function, and you see this right now? This is what's the word for it? This is a franchise. We are part of this room, this program, this Namahata. This is part of the Namahata, because the Namahata is a franchise that has the original headquarters in Surabhi Kunj, and from there it's spreading all around the world. This is an embassy of the Namahata. So you walk into the Indian embassy. Is there an Indian embassy in Sheffield? Or a consulate maybe? Anyway, wherever your nearest Indian consulate or embassy is, you walk in there. When you're in there, it's considered this is part of India. These are Indian rules here, So in the same way, just like we have embassies, similarly, you have the original marketplace of the holy name, and then you have embassies and consulates of the holy name all around the world. This would be like a consulate, and then the temple is like an embassy. And you can go to either a consulate or an embassy, and you can get your passport stamped, and you can get visa. You get visa. So if you're part of the mission of the Namahata, if you're part of, Lord Nityananda, he's employing. He's the employer of the marketplace of the holy name, and he's taking on staff. And that is what this is. This is Lord Nityananda taking on staff and saying, okay, you want a job? You want a job? Okay, here you go. Here, you work in this stall, it's really funny, when you read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gudruma Kalpatavi, he actually describes all the different roles that are available in the marketplace. And it's not just the people who are selling the holy name. He explains that for a marketplace to work, you have the stall holders, but there's also someone in the background looking after the storehouse. And there's also someone who's cooking and providing food for the employees. And there's also one of the jobs is the barber. One of the jobs is the barber. He explains what that's all about. But it's like, he kind of explains that just like in an Indian marketplace, there's so many different roles going on, so many different people. So similarly, you'll have the front line preachers who are out there doing Harinam every day, distributing books, giving the holy name to everyone. But that's not the only job that's available. And for them to be able to do their job, there are other jobs needed. And it's not that one job gets paid more than another. It's that all the jobs are required for the army to be able to function. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains, an army marches on its stomach, so we need cooks in the marketplace of the holy name. For people to go out and share Krishna consciousness, they can't go out on an empty stomach, they need something to eat, so someone needs to cook for them. So they're also an employee of the marketplace of the holy name. My first job was putting up Garanga stickers. That was my first role in the Namahata, the marketplace of the holy name. Gadai gave us sheets of call out Garanga Be Happy stickers, and we would be given one sheet each a week. And next week it was like, did you put your stickers up? And we'd be putting them anywhere and everywhere, because Lord Chaitanya is so merciful, you can't offend Lord Chaitanya. So we would be thinking, right, we need to think where we're going to put these stickers, so that people have got no choice but to just look at them. So we'd put them on the back of toilet doors. We'd go into like pubs and cafes, and where the lock is on the door, call out Garanga Be Happy. I don't want to kind of get too gross, but you imagine you're sitting there, Goranga. It's like, we didn't have mobile phones back then either, so you can't even look at your phone. You're just staring at this Goranga sticker thinking, what the hell's Goranga? You know, so that was our first job in the marketplace of the Holy Name, was just putting up Goranga stickers. So there are jobs available. There are jobs available. Kirti's employing right now. She's like she's like full on, like she's really kind of taking on staff right now for the Rath Yatra. So if you want a lot of mercy, then you have like an employment stand in the corner of the consulate today, and then you can take staff on. So if anyone's interested in employment in the marketplace of the Holy Name, there's a big project coming up, so you can see Kirti for employment details, and you may need to hand your CV in, and sort of she may need to interview you and find out how suitable you are for the role, and then you'll get employment accordingly. You're taking on staff right now? Yeah? Okay, good. So it's such a wonderful meditation. It's such a wonderful meditation. So you can hear these songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, about Lord Nityananda, but this is the opportunity. And the thing is, we've all actually already been employed. We just don't realize it yet. The fact that we're here and the fact that we keep coming back means that Lord Nityananda's already kind of tagged us. And then, he's finding roles for us to do. So I actually didn't have anything that I knew I was going to talk about today. So I don't know how this all came about. But any reflections from anyone? We've got five minutes or so before we hand over to Rachel, right? You're going to take us through some guided nectar. So yeah, any reflections or comments or questions? Anything from anyone? Hare Krishna.
I think you covered it all.
It's a nice meditation. The third verse of the Shikshastikam is where Lord, because in the second verse he says, wow, you've given the holy name, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction. So then in the next verse he gives the key to getting taste for the holy name. And it's a very important verse. It's actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, this verse you should string, you should thread the holy name on this particular string and wear it around your neck. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadina Kirtaniya Sadahari. Chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. Thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. So this quality really attracts Krishna. Remember, we're saying Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We're calling out for Krishna. We want Krishna to hear that and say, who's calling my name? Where are they? And he wants to go to that person. But Krishna doesn't only hear the sound, he hears the quality, he hears the mood. He feels the mood and the quality. When he hears his name chanted, he also hears what mood was it chanted in. And some moods attract Krishna more than others. And one mood that doesn't attract Krishna, even though we're calling out his name, a name that doesn't really attract him very much, is pride and arrogance and thinking that we're better than other people. But the mood that does attract him is humility and meekness and thinking, I'm not perfect. How can I serve others? How can I see the good qualities in others? There was once, so many of you are familiar with the story of the Mahabharata. And in the Mahabharata, you have these two parts of the same family. There's the Kauravas and there's the Pandavas. And the leader of the Pandavas is Yudhishthira. The leader of the Kauravas is Duryodhana. So one day, I think it was Dronacharya or Bhishma, someone sent both of them out. And he said to Yudhishthira, you have to go out and find someone worse than you. And he said to Duryodhana, you have to go out and find someone better than you. And they both went out and they came back at the end of the day. And Duryodhana said, I'm so sorry, Guruji. I really did try very, very hard. I really did. I put my heart into it. But no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't find anyone better than me. I tried. I thought I found someone at one point, but then I realized I was better than them. And then Yudhisthira, he said, I tried so hard, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find anyone worse than me. But when we actually analyze the behavior and the qualities and the character of Yudhisthira, he was the best of men. He was literally the embodiment of morality and decency and goodness and kindness. But he could not see anyone worse than him. So this Trinada Pisunichina is, how can I see the good qualities in others? When I look at other people, I should see the good. When I look at me, I should think, right, what needs to be improved? How can I improve? How can I make myself better? What do I need to work on? Not what am I really good at, but what do I need to work on? And the more we have that quality, the more that attracts Krishna. And another interesting aspect of humility is that humility doesn't only mean I'm useless and I have nothing good about me at all. But humility also means, by Krishna's grace, I've been blessed with certain skills and strengths in life. They didn't come from me. I don't have to be proud of that because they're not mine. They came from Krishna. The reason I have these gifts and the reason I have these strengths and the reason I have these abilities is because Krishna gave them to me, but they actually belong to him. So how can I use them to serve him? Because actually they don't belong to me, they belong to him. So humility doesn't mean I can't do anything. I'm useless and I can't do anything. I'm just going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. Humility also means, what can I do? What has Krishna given me in this life? And how can I use that to serve Krishna and to serve other people? Am I artistic? That doesn't mean I'm better than other people, but it means Krishna's blessed me with artisticness in this life. How can I use that to serve Krishna? Can I teach? Well, I don't have to be proud about that, but how can I use it to serve? Can I cook? Thank you, Srimati Radharani. She's the source of all cuisine, Radharani and Mother Yashoda. So whatever skill I have in this life is only by their grace. Now let me use it to serve. So humility doesn't mean I don't have anything. Humility means, what do I have that Krishna's given me and how can I serve others with that? And then when we have that mood, that really attracts Krishna. And then what happens when we start to attract Krishna? Nadanam, najanam, nasundaram, kavitam vajagadisha kamaye, mama jammani jammani shray, bhavata bhaktiyana hoitiki twaye. I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women or beautiful men, nor do I want any number of followers, even on Instagram, even on Facebook, even on Snapchat. I don't want millions of followers. Or if I get them, let me use that platform to serve. But I don't want them for my own prestige. I don't want them for my own fame. If Krishna sends followers along, let me use that platform to tell others about Krishna. But I don't want followers for my own fame and for my own prestige. I could carry on. I don't know if I should, because I could share just one really interesting point about this last thing. Before I sort of began my journey in Krishna consciousness, I used to love music and I used to love going to concerts. I used to go to a lot of concerts and rock concerts and raves and we used to go and you'd be waiting and waiting and waiting for these superstars who you've only seen their photograph in the magazines and you've only seen them on videos, and they're in the flesh. The actual people themselves walking on the stage, the lights go on, everyone is just fixed, just staring at these forms on the stage of these amazing, glorious personalities. And the arms go in the air, and we call out in glorification to these rock stars and movie stars. And they accept all of that glorification and all of that honor and all of that praise. And then eventually one day I visited a Hare Krishna movement. And the curtains opened, and everyone in the room put their arms in the air and said, Hari Bol. And the penny dropped. I suddenly realized I've been treating these people as God, and they've been treating themselves as God. That is heavy karma. If you have that position where you are willing to just stand there and accept glorification and worship from hundreds of thousands of people, and be willing to be treated as God, because the reason we do that thing is because the soul has an inherent need to worship and glorify. It's part of who we are. We're part and parcel of God, and our eternal relationship is to serve and to glorify and to worship God. But in the absence of God, we redirect that worshipping tendency towards mundane personalities in the material world. So our worshipping people that are not worthy for it is not good karma, and their accepting that worship is even worse karma. Whether it's football players or movie stars or rock stars, whoever it is. So we have to be very, very careful how we direct that tendency to worship and to glorify. We have to be careful how we go about doing it. We can see the skills and the abilities. It's like if someone writes a beautiful song, when Prabhupada heard the songs of the Beatles, he said, oh, they must have come from the heavenly planets to be able to write music that good. So he could appreciate. Prabhupada saw Charlie Chaplin and he was laughing, and his disciples said, Prabhupada, is this not just Maya? And Prabhupada said, no, Charlie Chaplin's humor is very original, and anything original comes from Krishna. So I can see Charlie Chaplin and I can appreciate Krishna in that humor. But we have to be very careful. We have to tread very, very carefully in this world with where we direct our tendency to worship and to glorify. And we have to be even more careful about receiving glorification and worship. So we'll finish there on that nice, cheerful, happy note. Any reflections or comments before we hand over to Rachel? Yeah.
Depends what the message is. If you're a musician, you're sending a message, and it's collective consciousness, which is the same, directed towards God. Yeah. And it's directed towards people sharing the collective consciousness. So it's not just one thing about one rock star or one rock star. I think what the message is that they're sending.
Exactly, it's a good point. It's not just who they are and the worship they're receiving. It's what they're saying, what they're singing, what they're telling people. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not gonna. But the other interesting thing is when you become Krishna conscious, you can actually hear Krishna consciousness even in things that weren't intended to be Krishna conscious. You can hear songs, and those songs remind you of Krishna.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you a funny one. There's a little bit of Maya now. So that verse, Trinada Pisunichena, one of the bad, I'm going to tear my heart open right now. One of the bands that I used to glorify and worship and honor and treat as God back in the 90s was Guns N' Roses. They're one of my favorite rock bands. And in one of their songs, one of the lyrics, and this was definitely not intended to be anything spiritual or profound, but one of the lyrics is, now that you've been broken down, got your head out of the clouds and your feet back down on the ground, now you don't talk so loud and you don't walk so proud anymore. And if I hear that, I think, oh, Trinada Pisunichena. So you can hear Krishna and you can appreciate. And just music is a powerful medium. It's so powerful. It can bring people together. So people like, for example, George Harrison, he was like the ultimate example of how to do that in a way. I heard an interesting thing actually the other day. Yesterday I was at a school down in London. We were doing some training. I work in a Hindu faith school in Leicester. And yesterday I was at a training session. The CEO, James Biddulph, he was there and he was giving a talk. And he said, Avanti, that's the name of our school, Avanti is named after the school that Krishna and Balaram went to in Ujjain. That's the school that Krishna and Balaram went to. And he said, do you know what the curriculum was? Their curriculum was that they learned 64 arts. And the first 3 arts that they learned as their school curriculum: singing, dancing, and music. That was the beginning of education. So he was saying that is the example that we should follow. So singing, dancing, music, joyfulness, that should be what education is about, but ultimately it should point people towards God. It should direct people towards God. You were going to say something?
Yeah, Shemina, when you were talking about going and seeing the bands and humility, there's a famous story about one of the old Roman Catholic popes, and you know, he used to go on the stage and everyone glorify him. He used to have a guy from his bishops who would stand next to him and constantly whisper in his ear. And apparently he's whispering, "You're only human and you're going to die." And he had him, he used to go around him all over the place just to remind him. And he just whispered in his ear, just to bring him back down to earth. And he took him everywhere with him.
Yeah. You know, there's a story about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that's Srila Prabhupada's guru. He was a very, very heavy preacher. He was known as Simha Guru, the lion guru. He would give these heavy classes, like really heavy, you know, really cut through people's ego and really give them the sauce. Very, very powerful preacher. And at one point, every day, someone would come, this one man would come, and would just shout insults at Bhaktisiddhanta and would challenge him and say, you know, you're saying this, but what about this? You just said this, but what about this? And he would be quite rude and quite challenging. And he would, you know, everything Bhaktisiddhanta said, he would throw something back and challenge him. And then one day, I'm kind of paraphrasing the story because I don't know exactly the details, but it's along the lines of that one day Bhaktisiddhanta came in and this man wasn't there and the devotees were all kind of laughing and kind of looked really happy. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, "What happened?" And said, "Oh, we just found out this man, he died. He passed away. This man who's been coming every day and insulting you, he died." Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati started crying. He said, out of everyone who came to my classes, he was my best friend. He was the person I looked forward to seeing the most. Because he was the one who challenged me and who reminded me that I'm not as special as other people tell me I am. It's powerful stuff. Shall we hand over? Rachel?
Okay, I'll just get a cushion.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shri Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Vaishnav Sangha ki jai. Nitai Gaura